Welcome to Mind Your P's and Q's. It's with Denny and Ernie. I'm Denny,
I'm Ernie.
and we're going to be, this is going to be a new podcast utilizing octogenarian observations. Thank you very much. I have a little trouble with that.
It's a big word.
Basically,
for old
what
people.
that means, is we're old people, and we've seen a lot over our years. We're going to try to share a worth of observations and informations about etiquette and manners, behavior, wardrobe, social attire, experiences, screw-ups, and embarrassing moments.
Yes, particularly those.
And we're going to try to make it entertaining and fun as well as informative. Now, to get started, we want to give you a little background about us, why we think that we can impart some information to you that you might feel useful. Let's start with Ernie. Ernie, how's your background?
It's fine. Why? How's
What-
yours?
You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, let's see. I was born. Oh, no, you don't want me to go that far back. Okay.
Probably not.
Okay. Actually, I used to get in trouble at school for talking, and years later, I got paid for it. So I will be sharing some of that information. I was a stewardess years ago, based in Boston, married the pilot, and found out later that we married into a Boston blue blood family. So that was just one mess up, and I'll tell you about that one later. I also had cosmetic shops in Westport and Stamford, Connecticut, modeling schools, more of the finishing school, which is actually where we learn manners, etiquette, that sort of thing. And from there, right now, I don't know that I need to go into how I got into the business. Do you think?
Sure. Let 'em
Okay.
know.
Well, the high school called me and asked if I would teach a 7-course meal.
That's
And
back in the days of black phones, too.
yeah, when they actually called on a phone. So I did. I went to the high school and evidently I taught the 7-course meal. And someone in that class had a father, he told, and the father called me and said, I have a company. I would like to have you come and speak to the men. I have men who are entertaining in Europe, and they have the qualities as far as the information about the business. I'm just concerned about the social skills. So I said, the problem is I have to pay someone to be at my store. And he said, well, we will pay you. So that is actually how my speaking business got started. One told another, and it mushroomed from there. Later went into, actually the companies said, we love what you're doing. We love having you work with our men and women. Very skilled. It's really made a difference. The problem is these young people are coming out of college with the knowledge, no social graces. So they asked me to put together a college program, and so that started the college program. So you start to see how one thing mushrooms into another, and so that was actually how it all started. So from there, you can take over,
Well,
Dan.
no, from there you begin to do the programs
Right.
for different companies, and then you blossomed into college.
The colleges and then national conventions, and the Lord just opened doors to go everywhere. It was just interesting. I met so many people. And actually from there, I traveled. I went on a trip back in 1980 on a mission trip, and the Lord just even opened doors there for me to speak. While I was in the Philippines, I judged a Miss Philippine contest. And one of the very last programs I did, because I was in Brazil, I was all over the East, I was in Africa a number of times, and my last professional program outside of ministry was the Nairobi Hospital in Nairobi, Kenya. I did a professional seminar for them. So I've had a wonderful life, lots of experience, and lots of screw-ups, and I will be telling you about some of those.
We will get to the screw-ups later. My background is 50 plus years in the apparel industry, where I was a rep for some major manufacturers, Levi Strauss, London Fog, people of that ilk. I traveled the United States. I called on major stores like the Macy's, the Bonwit Tellers, the Neiman Marcus's, of the world. In that, I got to know quite a bit about attire, what's proper, when to dress. And I grew up, the octogenarian observations, when we grew up, we wore a coat and tie. It was very, very dressy.
Make sure the men wore coat and ties. We ladies wore gowns. Just thought
Well,
I'd clarify
sometimes in the business world, they also wore suits, but that's maybe not a tie. But anyway, we were doing, we dressed to the occasion, and the occasion called for us to present ourselves in a business-like manner and in a professional manner. Civility was very important in the 60s and 70s, although it was beginning to change. And it did change. And we're going to try, through our efforts here, to maybe put some of that civility back into our world. Okay? Then I also got to travel a lot. I also was a manufacturer of merchandise. I traveled extensively as a manufacturer. I manufactured out of the Orient and spent a lot of time there. I also represented some people in Europe and especially in the UK, where I spent a lot of time in London. I've had a lot of opportunities to travel the world and meet other people and see other significant manners, customs, etiquette, attire, whatever. It's all different. And yet we lead the pack when we really try. The other thing that I will be covering is entertainment. I was responsible for up to 15 people at a time for professional dinners where business was conducted, dinners where it was important that we have the social graces so that we didn't embarrass our company or ourselves or the client. And so we'll be covering those areas also. And that's my background.
Well, actually, when you talk about entertaining, the thing I always love is when you tell the story about the man who, when he asked you to dine with him and you said you weren't hungry. Tell that story.
Well, it's very true. I was at a trade show. There was a gentleman there from New Orleans, which New Orleans is known for its food. And he said to me, "Denny, would you like to dine with me this evening?" And I said, and then he mentioned a nice place, upscale place. And I said, I'm really not that hungry. And he said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Dining has nothing to do with hunger. Dining is an event unto itself. You enjoy it, you go, it's the experience of dining. Changed my world. I found out that was pretty true. Anyway, that's my story.
Well, I love it because we do dine, and
Yes,
I enjoy that too. Those are experiences, and there'll be a lot of things down the road that we're going to be sharing, which stem from that. I'll be talking about the silverware and the placement of things, how to entertain, also how to be entertained, what to do. We just have a number of topics to cover, and we thought we would do it in just a couple of weeks. If we live that long, we may do it even longer. So we'd love to share with you everything that we've ever learned, and usually the hard way, unfortunately.
How did we come up with P's and Q's? Well, P's and Q's reference in the United Kingdom, in the bars, they use pints and quarts. They would originally write on a slate the number of pints and the number of quarts that you consumed, and that's how they would bill you at the end of your evening or end of your day or when you were ready to leave. And sometimes people would be overconsume their pints
Shocking.
and quarts. So to be on your best behavior, you had to be careful of your language. And so that's where the phrase mind your P's and Q's comes from. If you drink too many pints or you drink too many quarts, you might get inebriated. Your conduct may not be acceptable.
You might.
And your language may not be acceptable. So that's where it came from. And in our case, we're using P's and Q's to stand for manners and etiquette and attire and how you approach people.
Mm-hmm.
Have anything to add, Ernie?
No, I just, we'll stick with the pints and quarts now that I know what it means. That sounds fine.
Okay, we're going to be sharing a wealth of observations and informations, again, about etiquette, manners, behavior, wardrobe, social attire, experiences, and that kind of thing.
Do you want to tell them how you were kicked out of a retirement center?
I can.
Would you like to share that story?
I will if you think that adds something to the podcast.
Well, I know it would. They'd probably understand maybe your warped humor.
I
Okay, no.
I did a few years ago.
All
I
right.
decided it was time for me to make life a little simpler, and I was going to move into a retirement community. I moved into that retirement community, had a nice apartment. They served meals there, although I ate most of my meals out because I like to dine. But when I was moving in, they had mentioned that they had a cocktail hour in the afternoons, and I haven't been there about 2 weeks, and I haven't had a cocktail hour. And I went down and inquired, "Where's the cocktail hour?" And I said, "Well, it's at 3:30 in the afternoon." I said, "I'm not even through getting sober from lunch at 3:30 in the afternoon. Why would I want to do a cocktail hour at 3:30?" They said, "Well, that's just the way it is. But you can bring your own cocktails and your own wine down to dinner if you prefer." I said, "That'd be great." So I started buying the 1.5 liter bottles of wine, and I would take it down to dinner. I would pour me some, and I, by the way, was invited to join a table of some people that I knew that had their references had caused me to pick that particular place to move into. As I would drink my wine, people around the table would ask if I could share a little bit with them. And then people from other tables began to ask if I would share my wine. I was going through 1.5 liter bottle of wine every night. I finally had to say, "Stop it. This is getting out of hand. But I would be more than happy to buy you guys a bottle of wine if you want when I go to the store to get it." They all went along with it, and people began to give me orders. I got to the point where I was bringing in 3 cases of wine a week. They called me in and said, maybe I need to cut that out.
You were turning them all into alcoholics.
No, I wasn't making any money on it. I was charging them exactly what I was paying.
Okay.
But the management didn't like the fact I was hauling in that kind of alcohol. And it was getting to a point where there was about 14 or 15 of us that would, after dinner, we would sit around and we would talk and we would drink our wine into maybe 8 o'clock at night. And they wanted us
That's a
out of there.
no-no in a retirement center. That's midnight to those people there.
So
Okay.
anyway, that was not good. Then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, we were confined to our rooms, and they would bring the food to our rooms. Well, I went and got some dollar bills, and I would tip these young kids that were doing extra duty, in my opinion, by bringing it to my room and bringing me food when I was eating at home. And they called me in and said, the management again, and said, "We've got you on tape, on camera, tipping, and we don't allow tipping." I said, "Well, it's a special occasion, COVID, a special deal. I just thought the kids needed some, it's only $1 a piece, and it's not any big deal." They said, "It is a big deal. Stop it." I said, "I'm not going to do it." They said, "Okay, here's what we're going to do. Every time we get a young person, not a kid, but one of our servers that takes $1 from you, we're going to fire that server." I said, "Wait a minute. I'm making the mistake, and you're going to fire the kid." They said, "Yes." So I took exception to that, and I used some words I definitely won't use here.
We won't go into those details.
And I probably shouldn't have used then. But I did, and they were not happy with me. So then with COVID, they had all the side doors locked. You could exit, but you couldn't enter. You had to enter through the front door. So I would go out, I would go to lunch, I would have a great time, I would see my friends, and then I had to go back through the front door. As I walked through the front door, they would take my temperature, they would ask me, "Where have you been?" And I would say, "I've been to get a shot." Okay. Second day, they said, Where have you been? I went to get a shot. The third day I walked in and they did that, and I said, I went to get a shot. And they said, is there something wrong with you? We're confined here basically, and if you've got some disease that you're getting a shot for every day, maybe we need to notify the residents so that they can protect themselves. What kind of shot are you getting? And I said, well, day before yesterday it was tequila, yesterday it was scotch, and today it was bourbon. They didn't like that. They called me in and said, maybe you don't belong here. Maybe you need to be somewhere else. And I said, well, I can do that. And they said, how fast? I said, I can be out in 2 weeks. If you'll waive, there was a $5,000 penalty if you broke the lease. And they said, we'll waive the $5,000 if you'll get out of here in 2 weeks. So I got kicked out of an old folks' home. Anyway, that's my story.
I appreciate you sharing that because I want people to realize the intelligence of the two people here who are speaking to them, and I know they'll want to be trained by us, don't you think?
Yes.
Oh, anyway, well, we do have a lot of fun, and we have a lot of laughs, and we've had a lot of experience in our 80-some years, and we do want to pass it on. Mine was a lot more formal. Denny's, as you can tell, is a lot less formal. But what we plan to cover in the next few episodes will be the placement of silverware, how to enter rooms, how to make eye contact. Have you ever felt insecure when you walk into a room? Someone's invited you, you're not sure of your dress, you're not sure what it is, you've asked questions, and yet you go. It may be for business, may be for pleasure. And you walk into that room. We're going to teach you, share with you, tell you, so that you can have the confidence that we were lacking at the time. And these were definitely our mistakes. But thanks for sharing that, sweetheart.
You got it. You got it.
I love that story.
I tell you, we're going to be using some common sense ideas and manners to navigate in today's world. And things have changed. My deal will be attire, dressing for the occasion, dressing down for the occasion, dressing up for the occasion. Attire actually sets a tone of how you conduct yourself with other people.
And how you're perceived, too, as you walk in. Yes.
If you're walking around with your jeans down around your knees and showing your plaid underwear, and you've got on tennis shoes that are dirty and a T-shirt that you've worn for 5 days in a row, and you've got a baseball cap on backwards, and you go in for a job interview, I'm going to bet you 99.999% you're not going to get that job. I can almost guarantee it. But now if you put a little attire, maybe have clean jeans, pull them up, have them pressed a little bit. They don't have to be ironed with a crease, but at least decent and clean. Put on a button front shirt, no hat. Make sure you shave and shine your shoes.
If you're a man, make sure you shave.
Yes, if you're, that's true. That's true. I'm thinking of from a man's standpoint. Same thing would apply to a woman. Make sure your makeup's on, your hair's done, your clothes are clean. And you might wear a little small heel. Doesn't have to be a big 6-inch bitch heel, but it can be just a nice little heel. And I think you'll probably wind up getting the job a lot better.
One thing we do, we have a phone or a number you can text and also email. A lot of people may have questions. You're already starting to think of things that you've had happen to you, either questions that you have for us or items you want to share that we can share for you. And you might go ahead and give the number and the email address.
All right. The email address is dennyandernie@gmail.com. That's DENNIEANDERNIE@gmail.com. It's right along the bottom. And you can email us with your observations, questions, comments, whatever. Also, you can text us. Do not leave a voicemail. We do not have the staff to cover voicemail. So text only 918-568-2368. That's 918-568-2368. And next week, next episode, the next filming will be about first impressions. It'll be about, you ever felt a little insecure when you walked into a room or into an establishment, into a situation? Well, we're going to tell you how to maybe make that a little easier. We're going to cover attire for those occasions. And we're going to give you some secrets. Ernie is going to give you some secrets on how to remember names and association that will help you out. Everybody loves their name. Everybody wants to hear their name, but they want to hear it right.
The first real name association class I had was at stewardess school. It was a 6-week class for American Airlines, and we had one full day of name association. Felt like it was absolutely the best thing I ever did was learn the name association. And for years, it really benefited me in almost everything I did. But it's going to be interesting. I'll pass it on to you and also pass on the screw-ups of what I did. So I don't want you to do the same things that I did. And like I said, we've had lots of years to pass on the information and also the mess-ups. And thank you for sharing about the retirement center.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad we got that out of the way. That's one I don't have to look at down the road.
I know, that's right. But Denny, I mean, that's typical of you. I mean, I love it. And one thing you mentioned in tipping the kids, you're a master at tipping. We're going to cover tipping also. And are you frustrated when you go to a place, you place your own order on a computer, you go up to pick it up, and they want to know if you want to tip? You know, tipping in our era was for service, and it was for a good service. It wasn't just because you showed up for work. So we're going to talk, we'd like to hear the pros and the cons on that. Of course, if you're the one behind the counter, it's nice to have the tips, but you need to do other things to really deserve those tips. So we are going to, and remember, we're going to share these things. This is our opinion. We'd like to hear yours.
Our opinion counts, though.
Particularly since we're on this side of the mic.
It's our podcast. So we're going to give you our opinion. Now, you do have the ability to switch, but we hope you don't. We hope you come back. Yeah. We look forward to seeing you again on the next episode of Mind Your P's and Q's with Denny and Ernie.
If you have
a great day.
Thank you. If you have people that, like I said, have businesses or students, young children, older people, or just want to have some fun, please ask them to tune in, particularly if you want them trained. We are going to be doing some training, exactly the same thing I did in large businesses, corporations, small classes. These are the same things that we charged for back then, and we're going to pass it on to you for no charge. Thank you, Denny. Good to share this platform with you.
It's been fun.